electronic discovery has really been as a litigator and as a project manager. So I try cases, I move things along, but I've also been known as the discovery queen. I'm the one that drafts the discovery, gets the discovery, and use it to move the case forward. I'm also have been listed as a special magistrate with the 15th Circuit, as well as I am available for consultations to do electronic discovery to help your case depending on what you have going on. So as far as what's an e-discovery project manager, project management is, it might seem like an amorphous thing, but it's really what attorneys, paralegals, and vendors do. If you have a case, it's a project. You know, we're not all Six Sigma black belt kind of people, but that's really what you're doing. You're managing information, you're managing people, and you're moving things forward. But at this point in the game, what we're dealing with is, what do we do when we get discovery? What do we do when we ask for discovery and get something that, one, we wanted to get just because we were trying to get them to give us ESI, or we asked for discovery and inadvertently got ESI and don't know what to do with it now. So at this point in the game, you're looking at how to manage this project in a discovery form, not just the entire case. So you want to use electronic discovery and technology to get the information to move that case forward. The one thing that I always think about when I'm dealing with project management on the ESI level is a checklist manifesto. I don't know if anyone has read that book, but it's a really good book to use to get your mind in that way of thinking, that you have to go through a series of steps, just like looking up the rules of civil procedure before you do something, in order to make sure that what you're doing is cost effective. But project management isn't a tool. It's an organizational method of framework geared towards effectiveness, efficiency, quality, cost, and risk containment. You want to make sure that you're not wasting your client's money. You want to make sure you're not wasting your money with what you have to do. So as far as dealing with ESI, what you've already heard is about knowing the case that you have, but also making sure that you understand where you are in EDRM and then using the technology that you have to move it forward. So that's where we are with project management. Is it moving? Okay. So the standards that I have included as a handout for everyone to use, or just really as a starting point, it can be applied to a lot of the different areas of the EDRM. We picked the processing, review, and analysis portion because that's really when you have to figure out how you're going to attack this and how you're going to apply it to your case. Then these are some of the things that I include as far as what you want to do to make sure that your standards or your standard operating procedure for addressing electronic discovery and ESI when it comes through your door or when you're sending it out, that it goes into these processes, that you make sure that you do it this way, but you also keep it simple. Simple is safer. If you can understand it, you can also then explain it to your client, and also explain to your client the basis for the cost of doing things the way that you are doing it. And project management principles are ideally suited for the management of electronic discovery projects because it helps to include the processes as well as the task, but keep them standardized so that you're going to have a repeatable thing, not only for each electronic discovery request or production that you're doing, but also to be able to can explain it to the court and your clients. So the standard document will include instructions, or could include instructions, flow charts. You want to make sure you know where your data is going to be when you get it, but you also want to make sure that you have bait stamps assigned. Some people like will have discovery coming in and you bait stamp one thing going out, but you don't bait stamp the next request going out. Or you get documents in that may be bait stamped or identified, but you don't keep track of them that way. That's some of the things that standard procedures with discovery would help. And the other thing I wanted to mention is the attorney is ultimately responsible for whatever is going out the door. So you want to make sure that if you're the paralegal, if you're the attorney that's handling this matter, that you know you've gone down that list, and when the attorney who is responsible for it going out the door, they'll see that you have already accomplished everything that's on the list. So my little chart that or document that I have attached with this program today has 5 simple areas that I believe need to be included in whatever standard or process that you're using for electronic discovery. Reviewing the case details, confirming the collection, familiarize yourself with the review tool, review the analysis protocol, and then confirm the production plan. A lot of that is for documents going out, but it also includes documents coming in, because when you get documents, you're also going to be using them for depositions, to prepare other discovery that you want them to send to you, and also to prepare for trial or hearing or whatever you need to do. So that's applicable as well to data that's coming into you. As far as reviewing the case details, you want to make sure that you have the background, the pleadings, where you are with that, what discovery requests have been done, and then whoever is on your team. I know David and others have talked about who is going to be doing the review or who's going to be doing the analysis. If it's just you, you still want to know, what am I looking for? But if it's more than just you, you want to make sure everyone's on the same page. So if you have a data set that's come in and you want to do a project where you're reviewing everything in order to prepare for the key witness, you want to make sure that they understand what they're looking for, and you want to know what you're looking for. So again, that's something to check off. Okay, I got that. As far as confirming the collection, we talked about collection full versus targeted. You want to make sure all the people that you have as key custodians are included, what kind of data you're collecting, and where the data is stored. The review tool is important, making sure that you're familiar with that, because you're not every law firm or attorney is going to use the same review tool for everything. So if you're just doing a one-off discovery and you just need to get something from this one person, you may not need to use a huge review tool like Relativity. You could just be reviewing everything via Outlook and seeing what that metadata is and getting that done. So as long as you can identify how you're going to attack the problem, how you're going to attack the information that you have coming in, then that's one less thing that you have to worry about. Then as far as the analysis protocol, what that usually means is if you have an order that you're working with from the court that you need to do things a certain way, you want to make sure that you're applying that across the board. Or if you have a team of attorneys that you're working with, they should have an analysis protocol. There should be, if one person is working on this custodian, they should have the same information that they're looking for that someone else might be looking at for another custodian. It's really just to make sure that there's uniformity in how you're reviewing everything, what kind of questions to ask, and how to tag things if you're in a review tool. Let's see. And then as far as the production plan that I included in my handout really is like an Excel spreadsheet or even a Word spreadsheet, where it has little headings at the top: available data, as in what kind of data is there, production endorsements, are we going to do bait stamps or are we going to do hash stamping, are you going to produce this type of data, and if you are, in what production format. A lot of that comes with what you've already agreed with opposing counsel or what the court has already ordered, or what you're requesting. The Florida rules and the federal rules require that if you're going to ask for discovery, you have to specify the manner in which you want it. Otherwise, they will send it to you however they want it. So if you just want PDFs with a metadata load file that comes with it or something like that, or if you want images in their original digital format, then you have to specify that in your request. I cannot tell you how many times I've put that in my request and I still get a PDF of a JPEG. And that's not going to work because if I need to know when you took that photograph, that PDF will not have it. So as long as you specify in your request what you're looking for, the court will uphold it because it's required in the rules of civil procedure. Otherwise, whatever you get, as long as in a reasonable, usable format, then they have complied with the rules, and you're kind of out of luck unless you want to ask for another request. Well, in your case with the PI stuff, if you should ask for JPEGs. You should, if you're getting a photograph from a phone, it should be a photograph from a phone. It should not be a PDF document. It should not be a printout. You want to know who took it. A lot of the photographs that are taken nowadays on the phone, when your location is on, we know where you are longitudinally and latitudinally. We know exactly where you are when you take that photograph. That is included in the metadata for that photo. And you know, I've had something like that happen before where they took the picture and they said they took it at one point. When I opened it up and looked at the metadata during the deposition, that wasn't them. They got it from someone else and it was taken at another time. So you want to make sure that that information is in there and you specify. You're in control in that way, and then you can also make sure that you include that on your production plan. And finally, on that little spreadsheet, you want to include a reason to produce or not to produce either a certain data set, a certain type of data like emails from this custodian I'm not going to produce for this reason. And it just gives you a framework to follow. But it is just a guideline. I think as long as you have these things in mind when you're working on production, analysis, and review, that section of discovery, then it'll help you to streamline. Again, bottom line, it will also help you to be able to answer to the court and to your client as to what you've done. So that's my presentation. Oh, you have any questions?
I just want to say in follow-up, what we ask for, we work with our vendor and there's certain load files that they request for their program. So I would work with whatever vendor, and then we say in native format. So if it's in Excel, they have to send it to us in the Excel file. If it's a PDF as the original, it would come as a PDF. That way you don't have to know, if you don't know what you're getting, you can't always know what you ask for. So we say
exactly.
native in DII load file.
Right. And that's important to remember because you are in control of that information. A lot of people don't understand native format though. So if you say, my shortcut for that is original digital format. Sometimes it's easier for people to understand, yeah, I'm not printing this out. Definitely don't ever ask for Excel spreadsheet in PDF. Yes, ma'am. Okay, very, very good question. And the question was if my last page of my standards for doing discovery has to do with an index. I know what you're talking about, but if you're using an electronic ESI or e-discovery tool, whatever information is on there in terms of the load file or which contains the metadata, that's your index. It'll give you the information such as when it was created, that's your date, who authored it, that's the name, who it was sent to, especially in an email, that's who it's going to, and it'll give, and then you can go in when you're doing that review, you can add information about what this document is about and then tag it as to whether or not it's responsive to the first request for production, second request for production, third, or if it's privileged. All of that information can then be converted into either an index, or it could either be converted into a privilege log, which you can then use at a later time. But that replaces the time-consuming process of creating an index of all the documents that are being created in any discovery matter.
Does the software allow you to sort by date and things like that?
Absolutely. All of them do. All of them allow you to do that. And also, based on how it's set up, depending on the vendor, you can pull down anything you want. When you're using relativity, for example, you can set up data sets where you're searching for information that you can pull down and use to bring to an expert hearing or expert deposition, and that's all basically your index for that thing. So I understand what your question is, but once you have a tool like that, you can use it, but there are also other ways that you can coordinate and identify the data so that you can use it in your day-to-day. And that was one of the things that I wanted to do with this standard. Yes?
My question relates to email. I had a recent matter where a small business had to produce had in his Outlook box about 20,000 emails that were sent. And a larger company that he was adverse to in a case was requesting all of his ESI, including his emails. And so my question to you is, what would be the best format to produce the emails in? Two, with that kind of volume, what we ultimately decided to do was convert those emails to PDFs so that we could date stamp them and track them. But if you have another suggestion as to how to do that in a native format, please suggest it. And then third, is there any responsible way to produce those emails without hiring an outside vendor, which probably would have cost $20,000?
Right. Okay. I'm sure that some of the information that you're requesting is included in the next step, which is the production side of this. But I can answer for you now that yes, there is a way for you to produce the emails in native format without having to basically discard the metadata that came with it. And that's basically by producing a PST file of that information, which is a container.
That was the format they were in, but we didn't determine that we could date stamp those and track them.
Right, and essentially what you'd be doing is you'll be pulling out each email and naming them with a hashtag, with a hash value, I should say. That gives it a specific name, which then you can identify just like you would a Bates label. But you would basically be giving them two sets, a copy set with new names and the full PST, which has all of the original data in there. And the thing,
All the time we go through 20,000 emails and have to label each one.
No. The labeling is completely automated, and you can even do that by yourself using some of the really easier tools that the e-discovery industry has now that you don't have to get a full license for. You can use one of their proprietary things as a one-off kind of deal. But if you have more questions about that, I can definitely talk to you about after. Thank you.